J.D. Vance does not hold back on Kamala Harris and her hypocrisy. You guys are not going to want to miss this.
Senator J.D. Vance joins us now. It's so great to have you on the show. Thanks for being here. So I was saying to Bill at the top of the show, at this point in the cycle, you see which campaign is trying to win the news cycle. And I would say President Trump certainly won it yesterday, and that continues today because this trip to McDonald's was creative, it was fun, and it's gotten a ton of views, not just on television, but all over social media. There is another way to look at it, though, and this comes from some of the mainstream media headlines, sir. Rolling Stone, Trump makes fries at McDonald's in bizarre attempt to troll Harris. Washington Post, that Trump serves McDonald's fries to supporters in a stage-managed campaign stop. And NBC News says Trump attempts to troll Harris by serving fries at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. That last one's not so bad, but a stage-managed campaign stop. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, I actually went to a sports bar outside of Lambeau Field yesterday before the Packers game. Of course, the Packers won. And, you know, I was pouring some beers for people there at the bar, and I felt pretty good about myself. And then I saw these news headlines about Donald Trump at McDonald's. Yeah. And I called him. I said, sir, you showed me up here because I was serving beers, you were serving fries. And I think that he really did win the news day. And the fact that these people are accusing him of a stage-managed thing, of course, the president has to have security because there have been 2 attempts on his life in the last 8 weeks. He can't just walk into a McDonald's and you know, sign a W-9 and actually go on the payroll. That's just not how this works, especially given the security threats on his life. But look, he was interacting with people. He was talking to the employees. He was giving people food. And he was just being, I think, what he does best, which is just being among the people, talking to them about what they care about. He showed, I think, genuine interest in the employees and their lives and where they came from and what they were actually doing in their job. And that's something you can't stage and you can't fake. That is just the genuine person that Donald Trump is. And it's why I think a lot of working people, even though, of course, he's a successful real estate billionaire, have this emotional connection to Donald Trump. You can't make up that kind of connection. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris has tried and failed. And I think it's why her campaign is flailing a little bit right now, is because she goes into Sheets and does 4 takes of her buying Doritos. Donald Trump just goes into McDonald's and he is who he is, and people love him.
Trump exudes charisma. He can walk into any place and people will like him. He's funny, he's witty, he's nice. All attributes that Kamala does not have. That's why she didn't go to that Al Smith dinner and instead recorded some weird pre-recorded video, because she knows that if she showed up head-to-head against Donald Trump, she would have been out of her own depth. It would not have been a good night for her, and she knows that. That's why she didn't show up.
In your position, did she work at McDonald's as a student in college, or was she lying?
I don't know if there's a campaign position on it. What I find, and I've spoken to Donald Trump about this, what we find weird about this is that Kamala Harris has been able to produce no evidence that she worked at McDonald's, and she didn't even talk about it until 2019 during, I believe, her first run for the United States Senate. So I don't know what's ultimately true here, but it's interesting where the media will try to nitpick and micromanage every single thing that me or Donald Trump has said, and yet they just buy into this narrative from Kamala Harris that she invented 5-6 years ago. Why don't they just do some journalism? Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but I know I don't trust the media's lack of curiosity about this issue when they're so curious and nitpicking everything else that the Republican candidates do.
There was a sea change last week that we noticed. It was towards the end of the week in 2 of the battleground states, in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. The 2 senators there, the Democrats, who are the incumbents, they are in tough races. Bob Casey, Tammy Baldwin. All of a sudden, they had somebody new in their ads. Watch here.
Casey bucked Biden to protect fracking, and he sided with Trump to end NAFTA and put tariffs on China to stop them from cheating.
Tammy Baldwin got President Trump to sign her Made in America bill.
So now they're trying to be closer to Trump. But here's some stats. This is from the last congressional cycle. Casey voted with Biden 98.5% of the time and Baldwin 95.5% of the time. So are they seeing some writing on the wall that they need to figure out a way to get away from Biden-Harris?
Yeah, Dana, let me say 2 things about this. First of all, what Bob Casey is saying is just not true. I've served with Bob Casey. He has been a down-the-line partisan Democrat during his entire time. He didn't actually defend Pennsylvania manufacturers, which is why I think Dave McCormick is ultimately going to win that race. But the politics of this are fascinating because you noticed Dave McCormick and Eric Hovde, they're not running ads about how much they agree with Kamala Harris. It's the Democratic candidates who are running ads about how much they agree with Donald Trump. I think it suggests that what we've seen in our polling for weeks, what I think Kamala Harris has seen in her polling for weeks, is that Kamala Harris's policies just aren't popular. So people are trying to run away from it as much as they possibly can. This is a person, Kamala Harris, who cast the deciding vote on trillions of dollars in new spending, who signed on to the open border policies of the last 3.5 years. Now she's trying to run as a change agent. Kamala Harris is more of the same. She governed that way. We will get even more of the bad policies of the last 3.5 years if we promote her to president. It's why I think the American people are going to make Donald Trump the president of the United States in just 2 short weeks.
I was following a couple of interviews over the weekend and also throughout the past week. He keeps coming back. He's asked about these enemies within comments. And I've read all of it. I've listened to all of it. It's hard for me to know what he really means about it. But that's not my question. My question is, why is it necessary?
Well, Bill, first of all, Donald Trump is unfiltered. I think this is one of the reasons why the campaign has gone well, is because he's not doing a basement campaign strategy. He's not just running on slogans. When people ask him questions, he speaks from the heart. And sometimes that means he's going to talk about issues that the mainstream media isn't focused on. But I think Americans are asking themselves, when we had these terrible riots in the summer of 2020, 20 people died, $13 billion in property damage, why wasn't law enforcement empowered to put down these riots, to reimpose law and order on American cities? That's, to me, what President Trump is talking about here, is that when you have local officials, when you have local rioters burning down American cities, when you have folks like Tim Walz encouraging rioters to go after local police stations, you need to have a federal response that reimposes law and order in this country. That's how I understand his comments is, look, we've obviously got some very important enemies to focus on overseas, but if people are burning down our cities, then of course we have to have a police response to that very basic violation of our right of public security.
He mentioned Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi by name in this case over the weekend.
Yeah, Bill, well, look, I mean, you have Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi who have been really part of weaponizing the Department of Justice against our country. I think what Donald Trump is saying is, look, we are the strongest country in the world. We've got the best people in the world, but we do have some broken leadership. We have people like Nancy Pelosi who's getting rich off of insider stock trades, even as our own country has gotten poorer, who's obsessed, Nancy Pelosi is obsessed with Donald Trump, not with reimposing policies that are going to deliver peace and prosperity for the American people. And of course, like I said, we do have people on the left, not most people to be clear, but some people on the left who are encouraging violent responses to what we believe is going to be a Donald Trump victory in a couple of weeks. That's not okay. And I think it's totally reasonable for the president to point out that, yes, we've got the strongest country in the world, but we do have some broken leaders in Washington. It's why we're running this race.
The reason that politicians don't get paid millions of dollars is because they should want to do the job for the good of their country. They should not do it for a paycheck. How is it possible that these public servants like Nancy Pelosi, how is it possible that she's worth like $100 million? How she and many other people like her get away with insider trading and just getting rich off the backs of everyday Americans. These are the people who should be looking out for us, not actively hurting us. And in regards to Donald Trump being in McDonald's, I saw many tweets criticizing Donald Trump by calling it a humiliation ritual. And why would he possibly do this? How deranged in the head are you? You know how many millions of Americans work at fast food jobs or jobs just like that? It's absolutely a slap in the face. And that's exactly how the Democrats view these people. They think it's humiliating. This is a way to earn money to provide for your family. How is that humiliating? What Trump did was brilliant. It was a perfect way to show to Americans that he cares. He walked a day in our shoes. How many billionaires would do what he did? And also, it was a funny dig at Kamala, who said she worked at McDonald's, yet can show no proof that she actually did. It's an absolute lie, and they know it. That's why they're not talking about it anymore. If you want the American dream to still be alive, you gotta vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. I mean, Vance is the perfect embodiment of that. He came from nothing, and now he's on track to be the next vice president of the United States. That tells you could do anything in this life. But I'll tell you what, under a Harris-Walz administration, it's going to be exponentially harder. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you think Trump going to McDonald's was genius? Was it hacky? Let me know. I'd love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.